Okay, so AUMA Actuators, you have a strong presence and pedigree in the water industry. I think you've got frameworks with all the major UK water companies. I guess it'd just be good to understand what do you think you attribute this success? What makes you such a big force in the sector?
Well, it's kind of you to say so. The, the I was thinking about this earlier, and the first thing that came to mind really was perseverance. So it's not an overnight success for Alma here in the UK. We've been here since sort of like the early 70s, and there's it's always been a market that we've been involved with. I've been with the company since 2011. And it's been obviously a major focus for us, and we've kept doing what it is that we've always been doing, and making sure that we've got we understand what the customers' requirements are, so understanding their applications, understanding what their major drivers are, and then doing a lot of the really simple things well and right. Um, Things like, I mean, we as an organization globally, we focus only on electric actuation, so we're not distracted by sort of other applications or other technologies, and this is typically what is going to be required for the water industry. So we ensure that we have the right levels of inventory locally. We ensure that we understand, as I said before, understand the customer's applications, and we make sure that we've got a good team around us. We've got a good group of people, a good mixture of newcomers to the organization, but also people who have been with the business and been with AUMA in the UK for sort of 20 plus years. So there's a good combination of and a good mix of that new knowledge and long-term experience as well.
Okay, and I guess following up from that, it'd be good to understand a little bit about the product range, product portfolio you offer. And I know you've got a reputation for innovation. So obviously, feel free to tell us the clever things you're up to as well as just tell us about the products if you like. Yeah.
Sure. I guess the first aspect of what it is that we do would be that we are our product is modular in its design, and I know that that when I first started, there was very much the kind of like, well, you're modular, so what? So, what is what's that advantage? What's the benefits as far as the customers are concerned? So with that modularity, it allows us to hold a series of products in inventory. So we have motors, gearboxes, controls, and then we can add those together in our assembly within the UK to meet the customer's urgent requirements. So that's service response. If it's a large quantity that's required, we go straight back to the factory. The factory can manufacture large quantities. We manufacture 500 units a day, and that can then meet the large projects. But for those service requirements, the modularity allows us to respond quickly. So we have a fast track approach to our delivery to the customers. And in particular, when you look at, again, the water industry, there's very much this focus of trying to maintain always running, making sure that the plant is always available, so we can respond quickly to those customers' requirements. So the innovation, if you like, is the modularity of the product, but the benefit to the customer is in part is going to be that speed of response, speed of delivery. The modularity also allows us to do some fairly simple things like a double seal component. So to ensure that if the electrical connections on an actuator aren't sealed properly, there's a risk there of water ingress. Now, without a fully sealed system, then that water ingress could get into the electronics or get into the body of the actuator and cause problems. So we put a double seal item in series with the connection. And what this allows then is obviously to stop the water going in. But if there is water in there, then the only thing that is affected is that a double seal item. So instead of destroying in some applications, some other our competitors, for example, they have that double seal, but it's an integral part of the entire body. So this then causes a problem that you can't then use that actuator. It doesn't stop it from working straight away, but you can't then reuse that actuator because that actuator would have to be replaced. With ours, you simply replace the double seal component. So there's that modularity again gives a kind of maintainability solution to the customers. And this is something that over the time that I've been with AUMA, the water industry has moved from a very much a capital expense focus into this TOTEX, the capital and an operating focus. So the idea, again, back in 2011 or there, prior to TOTEX introduction, the idea of a service contract or a service solution wasn't something really that the water industry was focused on. Over time, with the introduction of TOTEX, this has definitely become a very hot subject. And again, the modularity allows a very effective way of both upgrading existing installed base. So you may keep your motor and gearbox because that hasn't the requirements for that hasn't changed, but you may wish to upgrade the controls because you want to have digital communication with data transmitted back to a SCADA system or whatever. And rather than replacing the entire unit, you're simply upgrading the controls with the backward compatibility on the rest of the product. So again, this is something that with our modularity, it provides yet another level of innovation, if you like, or open innovation to the customers. And this again is kind of not taking into account other more fundamental design innovations, which again kind of lean to the modularity. But we have examples of variable speed solutions. So with a different motor and different controls, we can have a variable speed motor together with different controls. So you can then continuously change the speed of the actuator, depending again on the application. This in particular, again, we're looking at the benefits to the customer, in particular where you have a focus in the industry on mitigating leaks, mitigating risks associated with leaks, and things like water hammer, where you get a pressure transient if you were to close a valve quickly and at constant speed. You can change the speed of closing over a period of time. So throughout the drive of the closing cycle of the valve, you can go quickly through the body of the valve and then slowly to do the final closing. And this basically ensures that it minimizes the impact on that pressure transient. So this has a big impact then on the mitigation of water hammer, and then the impact of potential creating of leaks in aging assets which are in the field. The variable speed also allows a kind of a gentle, we refer to sympathetic controls, where you have a gentle pulling out of the seat of the valve rather than using a hammer blow type of effect. And similarly, nice and slowly into the close, but then quickly throughout the travel of the valve. So this sympathetic approach, there's a lot of aging assets in the field. This is a nice way of ensuring again that mitigation of risk as far as the client is concerned, as far as the end user is concerned. So those are kind of, again, additional innovations which can be built on that modular frame. The other one is underwater solutions, so design equipment that is intended to be permanently submerged. Now, this is again a great solution for maintenance and maintainability for the end user. There's a number of valves and actuators which will be sitting in pits in areas of the country which are prone to flooding. Water solutions tend to have a lot of water around them, so there's a real risk associated with that. And the underwater designs that we have are designed to be permanently submerged. So even if something is occasionally submerged, you don't then have to revisit the actuator to ensure that it's working. It's happy being in that in that environment. So again, it's looking at those benefits to the end user with regards to revisiting and maintenance costs of the applications. Again, looking at that or addressing the focus in the industry on that TOTEX piece. So there's a number of things that we have that might have been designed for different applications, but have got a real benefit in the water applications that we've seen.
Okay, and I mean, you've sort of touched a bit on service and support, I think, in talking through the innovations. I guess if there's anything to add there, or maybe just explain a bit about how you work with customers, supporting them from, initial contact through to ongoing service, and maybe just, as part of that, how you add value specifically within the water sector as a result.
Yeah, again, it's there's a number of things which kind of work together here. So there's in part there's the product element, but there's also process and partnering with end user customers and with supply chain. So one of the things we looked at again as an innovation with one major end user was ways that we could introduce a different way of supporting their maintenance of their sites. So traditionally, there would be this kind of man in a van type approach where something may fail. The end user customer might have sent somebody there to have a look at the issue, establish yes it's failed. They may then call out the valve company or the actuator company. They then return site, and there's yet another conversation about yes it has failed, and then eventually a replacement item might make its way to site. But there's a lot of costs associated with that, the revisiting on that actuator. Again, and there was a lot of kind of field repair also being done. So what the end user was realizing was that their service technicians would try and do their best with the equipment that was on site. So they might rob pieces from an old part to get this broken part to get it repaired. And the whole idea was to try and the terminology of the day was sweat the assets and make sure that they're trying to get the most out of what it is that they've got on site. But in many instances, there was a false economy because, again, you might get the unit up and running at that time, but it was in a weakened state, so you may have to revisit again and again and again. And what the senior people in the service department were realizing was that this cost was kind of uncontrolled. The amount of time that was spent trying to fix the actuator was unlimited because it was you had to find out what the problem was and then try and repair it, and it was as long as it took to get the repair done. And the times to revisit it was also, not recorded necessarily. So, there could be multiple occasions when this same actuator or same device was being revisited. So what we put in place was a simple way of viewing what was going on site, first of all. So we had a simple kind of checklist as to, okay, just take some photographs of what it is that you're looking at, take some close-up shots of the data on the side of the actuator, so we knew exactly what it was. Whether it was one of our actuators or any other third-party actuator, we'd have the information based on that plate. get a couple of shots kind of remotely so that we could see what the application, what it looked like around, and then send that information to us. We would then get a replacement actuator. Again, what we were realizing in the water industry was that the equipment that was used is in a very straightforward normal distribution curve. There was typical stuff which was sort of like the bulk of the product that was going to require, and there were some outliers. So we make sure that that's the inventory that we hold in place. We then sent a replacement actuator to the site in a wooden crate, so that the old actuator could come off, be put in that wooden crate, and return to us. In the meantime, they've got a brand new actuator or a refurbished actuator ready for the application, and they would then put that onto the valve. From a service point of view, the end user, because it was a replacement of a new actuator or a refurbished actuator, there was a known amount of work that was going to be required to be done. So there would be a clear job sheet that was going to go out and a clear understanding of how long that job would take. So it was much more of a controllable cost. At the same time, because it was a new or refurbished item, we would underwrite that with our warranty as well. So, if it were to fail again, it would be at our cost because it would be under a warranty replacement. And the unit that was then removed from site would be sent back to us at AUMA in Clevedon, and we would then do either refurbishment of that item, or we would dispose of it carefully, depending on whether it was beyond economic repair. So this is a model that we created, and there was some immediate savings to the end client, both on sort of practical labor costs, but also the fact that it was moving from this CapEx model to the TOTEX model. They could effectively capitalize the operating costs, which were then taking place within that process. So this is something that we've been working on this 7 or 8 years, and we're developing this for different customers in different ways. This is a kind of a major, you could say a major innovation. I mean, it's fairly simple stuff, but it's a different way. It's a different way of how the service in the water industry was being applied previously. Again, in the service in the water industry, it is kind of it's a fairly new and it's very much a hot subject within the industry right now, and has been over the last few years. But there's quite a lot of catching up to be done if you compare what we do in the water industry compared to other industries out there. So my background is in controls, and we worked extensively with on commercial refrigeration for the supermarkets. And of course, if a piece of fridge equipment were to fail, it's a huge cost to the Tesco's or the Sainsbury's in this world. So therefore, you've got to be in a position to be able to remotely monitor, manage the assets, respond before it's actually failed. You start seeing patterns of behavior of the asset. So you're there with your service technicians replacing and repairing and refurbishing things before the frozen chickens or whatever are actually going out of specification. So this model, this kind of active model of service, is something that all of the service, all of the end users are definitely pursuing now, and they're bringing in expertise. And I believe that what we provide as a product will support that drive, and what we're supplying as a service is also in the right position to be able to support and facilitate additional movement in this area. Did that answer your question? I kind of went off.
No, that's great. And maybe just to sort of round this bit off, and I suspect again you've touched on it, but in terms of how you think you are differentiated in the market, so you've obviously touched on a lot of the innovations, but is there anything else you think is particularly unique to yourselves as opposed to other folks out there, if you like?
I guess the thing which is kind of underpinning all of this would be the partnership. There's a series of partnerships, but initially the partnership with our factory. So we have a factory based in Germany, southwest Germany. That, as I said earlier on, manufacture 500 actuators to order, each and every day. And we are a very vertically integrated manufacturing model. So we manufacture all our own motors, all our own gearboxes, all our own controls. We machine all of machining all of the gears, machining all of the casings. Everything is held within the AUMA manufacturing model. What we do here within the UK is we are an assembly service organization. So we get the components, the modules from Germany and put those in place within Clevedon for the UK market and responding to UK customer requirements. So as I mentioned, the water industry, obviously, but we do similar things for power stations. And again, look at what are the typical products which are going to be required supporting those particular customers. But this highly vertically integrated supply chain really underpins absolutely everything that we are able to deliver to the customer. Many of our competitors are outsource a lot of their manufacturing, and during times of kind of geopolitical instability, or during the COVID outbreak, there's a lot of difficulties in long supply chains. There's some benefits with regards to asset-light models for publicly listed companies, but actually when it comes to the practicalities of delivering to customers, having that short supply chain is a significant benefit, and we have seen that as a major benefit to us locally within AUMA, and therefore to our customers within the UK. And even during instability such as the process of Brexit, where there could have been significant risks associated with friction on supply through borders. We increased our inventory at that stage to overcome those sorts of risks. And actually, it wasn't Brexit that was causing us a problem. It was COVID. But the extra inventory during that period actually supported us through that phase as well. So I think that it's that partnership with our parent company, very close partnership there, and also working closely with the end users, understanding what they are requiring. So what I described earlier with regards to the service model, but also understanding how we partner with our supply chain on this side. So our customers in the OEMs, the valve companies, are an important customer for us, and ensuring that they understand how to get the best out of the benefits of AUMA product as opposed to the competition. So what are the benefits to the supply chain, and also getting involved with the consultants and designers, so that we're also getting into those sorts of partnerships to ensure that our products and the benefits of our products are designed in at an earlier stage. So all of these things are there to try and meet the end user requirements.
And you showed a great example of innovation in practice when you were talking about the service earlier on. Are there any other sort of things you'd like to share when it comes to innovations that are actually out there and making a difference?
I think I've probably covered most of the things. I'm not probably going to end up repeating myself on a number of these items, because there's a lot of just very simple stuff done very well. As I say, when you look at our products, we focus only on electric actuation. So the the feedback that we have from from here within the UK and our customers' applications, that gets fed back straight to our designers in Germany, and then they will design or evolve the designs depending on what the application and the feedback from the field and how the manufacturing side is going. So there's a continuous cycle of improvement there. Which again, one could see very much as an innovation. We're able to do that because of our focus on this on our products, and in doing that, there may be something that a customer is looking for. Items such as the variable speed. May or may not have come specifically for the water industry or other industries, but actually what we're seeing right now, one of the drivers in one of the large utilities is looking at reducing the number of stock units, so stock keeping units. So they at the moment, the actuators are almost designed specifically for an application. It's this sort of there's quite a broad range of different solutions depending on how it's configured. But the customer is saying, can we reduce the number of modules or reduce the number of items to a simpler subset? And we've said, yes, of course we can. And we're using the variable speed as a way of doing that. So instead of having multiple motor types and motor sizes, we can then condense that into a single variable speed actuator that can then be held on stock and delivered, and again improve that supply chain speed of response. Now, there may be a cost implication on the unit price of the product, but that might be a cost which is acceptable to the end user because it reduces costs somewhere else within their process. So that it's understanding things in a more systemic way rather than as a component. So, our products are used in complicated systems, so we need to understand how they're being used, both on application and engineering, but also in the supply process and what the customers are looking to achieve. So there's a number of things that we're working closely with the customers in that area as well.
Okay, and maybe just sort of broaden the conversation out a little bit before we finish. Clearly, the industry has a number of challenges facing it at the moment, and I guess the one of the obvious ones is AMP8, the priorities for that. So, are there particular things you think that AUMA is well positioned to help with that, or is it just sort of business as usual, responding to what they want, or can you see particular things that you will be able to help with?
Again, there's a lot of discussion, obviously, about AMP8. There's a huge increase from AMP7 to AMP8 on the amount of money that's to be spent by all of the utilities. And all of the utilities, I've been to numerous meetings with them with regards to how can we support, are we ready to support? And the one key piece of information that is kind of lacking from everybody at the moment is specifics. When are the projects going to be started? What is going to happen, and when is it going to happen? Now, as far as product is concerned, I've got a big engine behind me, so I'm comfortable that if the demand increases significantly overnight, we can respond to that demand. Not a problem at all. The areas that I see as being more risky for the industry is going to be people. And skilled people in the right place at the right time, because it's not just one utility that's going to require these resources. It's all of them, and all at the same time potentially. So we again, it is much of keep doing the right things and be there and support of what we do and do that well. So what we have obviously with our service team is we also then can provide that final commissioning side of things. We can do the installation work. We can do the subcontract project type management. We have all of that facility there. But we're not an electrical contractor. We're not an M&E contractor. What we do is we provide those services to facilitate the sale of our product. But what we can do then in doing this is ensure that a contractor who wants to move on to the next project to start the mechanical work or electrical works, we can make sure that that final commissioning part of the actuation, we can provide that support for the customers, and it's that sort of, again, partnering that is a key part, I think, that's going to deal with this flexibility and the unknowns initially of when these projects are going to happen. So we're there to provide that flex resource, if you like, to facilitate the sale of our products. It's going to be an exciting time. I think there's going to be a lot of work for everybody, and I think as I say, we're here very much to partner with and support throughout that supply chain. So yes, it's going to be an interesting challenge.
Yeah, and I guess another, or if not the other major challenge at the moment is sustainability and net zero. I guess it would be good to understand. I mean, there are two things there. Presumably, what you yourselves are doing as an organisation on that sort of journey, and also how you are helping, the water industry to, hit their objectives when it comes to the climate change and the environment.
Sure. So I can talk more specifically about what we're doing here within AUMA UK. There's a lot of projects going on back in AUMA Germany as well, focusing on this, but their challenges are far bigger and broader than mine here within the UK. There's a few articles which we've published about what's happening back in Germany. Here within the UK, we've had in our facility photovoltaic cells on the roof now, for since the building was initially built in 2010-11. Just this summer, we've gone through a process of upgrading all of the photovoltaic cells and increasing the PV cells on the roof. So we've now got, I think it's about 3 or 4 times the capacity, and we've increased battery storage as well. So we've got the capability of storing the excess electricity that's generated, and we're only using air-to-air heat pump systems within for the heating and cooling within the building as well. So incredibly efficient electrical heating and cooling for the space that's there, and generating an enormous amount of the electricity that's going to be required during the summer for the cooling from the photovoltaic cells. We've also moved towards electric vehicles on sales, and not moved entirely for the service vehicles yet for fully electric, but on because the problem with a service van, once it's loaded up, the range it starts becoming a little problematic. So a hybrid solution is still right for that application. But for the sales team, we've moved entirely now to electric vehicles. So again, we can get free charging of the electric vehicles when the sun's shining in Clevedon, and it shines occasionally, so it's not too bad. Yeah. So those are the things that we're doing on a local basis. Incidentally, I carried out an MBA a couple of years ago now, actually more years than I care to remember, which was from Exeter University. It was the One Planet MBA, which was specifically looking at the ideas of sustainability within business. So there's a lot of what I learned during that is we're applying both on our own application, but also in the way that we're presenting things to our customers. So in Scotland, there's the Circular Economy Act that was brought in play last year, and this is something we're talking with Scottish Water about how we can support them in delivering that. With a variety of things, and also, I mean, I guess again the key element is more a relative position than it is an absolute. Because our products are all manufactured here in Europe and they're brought across here to the UK by road, if you like, the air miles or the CO2 embedded within the product is significantly less than, say, something that's manufactured in the Far East and shipped into the UK for assembly locally. So there's things like that which are a big benefit to the end users. But also then, as I mentioned earlier on about the service model, by shipping product and sort of refurbished product to the site and reducing the number of times that that product is visited, those are also significant benefits in reducing the carbon burnt for the various applications. So pretty much everything we're doing has got this as a kind of a backdrop into, well, is this the most efficient way of doing it? And that efficiency kind of holds good whether you're focusing on CO2 or whether you're focusing on costs. Actually, by looking at it in those terms and working together with the customer, then we can come up with solutions together.
Okay, maybe just one final area. The Independent Water Commission report obviously came out not so long ago. I think most people would agree there's quite a lot of promising things, assuming that it gets off the drawing board, shall we say. And I just wonder, AUMA as an organisation, what responsibility do you think, are you there sort of sat waiting and then you will respond? Or do you think you have a sort of obligation to get involved to help shape that future? Just your thoughts, I suppose, as to where you fit within what's potentially going to be happening.
I guess this is one area that I've got to be careful that I don't get, too political in either big P or little p. But certainly the people that I've come across and worked with in the water industry, because I hadn't worked in the water industry prior to 2011, so this is all, relatively new. And I've come across a lot of really passionate engineers and people in the industry who care about what it is that they're doing and how it's being done. So a lot of the newspaper publicity and the headline kind of reporting might appear to be quite cynical on the industry, and although then some of that may well be true, the people that I've dealt with on the engineering solutions are very passionate about getting things done and done correctly. So it's very much, as I say, it's that what I see, irrespective of what is adopted or not adopted from the IWC report, it will be the partnerships and looking for those longer term partnerships with the end users and the supply chain supplying the end users. If the framework process has been historically has been quite quite start-stop, in my opinion. You kind of, you're on the framework, and then if you're not on it the next time, then all the good work that you've done is then potentially lost for the next 7 years or whatever the next framework period is. I think there should be a smoother transition through one period to the next period, similar to the smooth transition from one AMP to the next. And build on the partnerships. Keep reviewing the effectiveness of the relationships and make sure that it's good value for money. But actually try and extend that partnership. And so there's a lot more benefit I could see out of working closely together for longer and extended periods of time. So that's what I would like to see coming out from this sort of thing.
Okay, and the world seems to have gone AI crazy. It seems a business conversation isn't proper unless you've mentioned AI at least once. I'm just wondering, again, I know the industry is obviously looking at it, but is it something that's already on your agenda, already incorporated in solutions, or is it something you'll look at? Just, I suppose, again, what you think AI can bring to AUMA and therefore your customers over time.
I think to ignore AI would be a mistake. To assume that AI is the answer for all of the problems, I think, is also a mistake. So there'll be a transition period, and it will become more and more useful over time. So already, there are applications within AUMA along the lines of answering simple questions, and the same questions are asked time and time again. So it's a matter of coming up with good responses to those questions. So that's being done from a technical side perspective. If you think about the applications in the water industry, the water cycle is highly complicated, and a lot of big systems and processes, which also include random effects such as weather, and so therefore the idea of more data being available and being manipulated or analyzed through AI is something that's going to have a huge benefit over time. Where we, AUMA, will help and support that is, already there's data which is available from the actuator itself, but there's also potential data from the subsystem to which it's connected. So there's a lot of additional simple data that can be provided. But there's also opportunities for more sophisticated information to also be provided at that subsystem level that will help train and educate an AI system. So rather than just throwing data at a system, actually sort of like look at, well, what's happening to this valve at this time? What's happening to the flow through this valve at this time? Making sure that this small subsystem is working efficiently and passing that information back. So it's helping, together with the data, but it's potentially helping create a more useful model more quickly. And those are the sorts of things, again, as I was mentioning earlier on about the service in other industries. There's a lot that we in the water industry can learn from other industries, but at the same time, it is a complicated system because it does require input and effect from random natural situations. So there's opportunity for a distillation of data at a subsystem level to provide information back to the bigger system, and those are the things that I think can work very well together with AI as we move forward.
Do digital twins crop up at all? Is that something that might be relevant to you, or what you're doing is it digital twins work on a slightly larger scale? I don't know.
The answer is kind of yes, but a qualified yes. So every one of our products is a systems product, so it sits within a larger system. But how that system is integrated together and how that system is designed is really someone else's responsibility. We're there to provide the product, the capability, and our expertise on our individual application, with the knowledge of how it's going to be incorporated within the bigger system. So we, as I said earlier on, if we were to look at our product simply as a component and as a separate item, then we are missing a lot of what it is that we are providing, and it's engaging in that conversation with the designers to say, well, what is available from this system component in this system's capability. So the digital twin and that sort of modeling would probably be more done by a consultant and looking at the broader system, but building that digital twin up with the information and the data that can be provided from our components. And the more we understand, again, as I said earlier on, the more we understand about how our product is applied, how it's used, then the better we can be in a place to support the customers and the designers to get the best out of the overall system.
Excellent. And maybe just in finishing up, I guess you mentioned a bit about AI and what might be possible with that. Is there anything else on the AUMA roadmap you're able to share in terms of whether it's bringing new, updated solutions to market, or just growing the company more generally? Just anything you're able to share?
I guess the sorts of things that uh, are applications which we would use on other industries. There are definitely opportunities that could be built on within the water industry or used within the water industry. So we do a lot of work in the kind of the nuclear power applications, and big power stations, and also the small nuclear power which are being developed. The and the requirements on those applications, and we're also doing a lot on ships, and the requirements tend then to be a sort of like kind of smaller package, but high specification. There are applications within the water industry which might require those sorts of that attention to quality, that attention to package size. Explosion proof is would be a big subject within the is a big subject within the water industry. So these are looking for appropriate solutions for the water industry with different sort of from different applications from outside the water industry. So we're forever looking at that continuous improvements and application on product, looking at just because it's right for the water industry today doesn't make it going to be right for the water industry all the time. So we've got to think about things from outside the industry as well. So I would say that would be something that would certainly keep me thinking about where could we go in the future. So it's not necessarily a brand new product out of the ether. It's existing product which is being used in a different application. And again, I repeat, the more we understand about the water industry application and where the water industry wants to go, then we can bring in knowledge from other applications and other industries to potentially support that drive.
Okay, I mean, it's been brilliant to chat to you, and thank you so much for sharing so many great insights into what's going on at AUMA and thoughts on the water industry more generally. So, Paul, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much indeed, Phil.